Today's video is sponsored by nobody. Nice shot. How often do you hear low-cost, high-profit projects that sell fast? Probably as often as I do. But are they really low-cost, high-profit? And do they sell fast? Well, I did some research and found 3 projects that are low-cost and high-profit and sell fast. And today we're going to be making those. Welcome to the shop. I'm Daniel with Bearded Viking Woodworks. We're going to start over here at the miter saw, and what we're making is this wine rack slash stand. We're using some leftover pallet wood I have from a project, and we're going to get 4 pieces cut at 20 inches. And our stock is 3.5 by 3/4 inches thick. Once those are cut, we'll lay out for our rough notches. We want to be able to hold 6 wine bottles. Your typical wine bottle is 3 inches in diameter, so we'll use a roll of tape that's about 3.5 inches in diameter and trace it out where we want to make our notches. We want them to be equally spaced out within this 20 inches, so just get it roughly close and that should do. So we just eyeballed for our spacing, and that's roughly going to be about 2 inches in between each circle that we cut out. We'll go ahead and cut the first one out that we got marked and just use it as a template for our next piece. We're only going to cut 2 of them with the 3.5 inch circles, and the other 2 are going to be cut at 1.5 inches for the wine neck. We'll clean this one up at the belt sander and get it ready to be traced out on the next piece. We'll go ahead and get this next piece cut out and then get both of these sanded down. Now for our smaller notches, we'll just go ahead and mark from the center of our bigger holes here onto our next pieces. And I'm not going to try and cut out 1.5 inch holes with a jigsaw. I'm just going to take it over to the drill press and use 1.5 inch Forstner bit. We'll drill out these holes with half of our Forstner bit on the actual piece and the other half hanging off the edge. It's a little tricky, but if you hold it steady, you shouldn't have any problems. Next up, we're going to cut our sides, and we're going to rip these pieces down to 2.5. Now we'll take them to the miter box and cut 4 of them long to short of a 45-degree miter at 16 3/8. Now once we get those cut, we'll bring them to our bench and we'll find the center, and we've got 16 3/8, so we'll go 8 3/16 from our long point here, and then we'll pull over 8 3/16 from this long point down here, and we're going to be putting a half lap joint on all pieces. Once you make your mark on all your pieces, go ahead and just square them down. That way you can reference those marks at the table saw. Now we've got our blade raised up half the distance of our piece, which is 3/8, and we're just going to cut in between the lines that we made. That's how your piece should go together, with that nice half lap. Just make sure you mark the correct side on which to take that dado out of. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and construct our sides, and we'll add a dab of glue. And we'll pop a couple brads in his ass. Now we'll go ahead and get our pieces that are notched out and get these nailed in. You want to make sure to put the big holes on one side and then the smaller holes on the other side. Just add a dab of glue. Just bring it out flush to the side here. Make sure your bottom is flush with each other. Pop a Brad in his ass. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Smash that like button, comment, and share. Now, our next project is another wine rack, and I'm mainly focusing on those wine racks because they are hot right now and sell super quick. We're going to go ahead and jump into this next project building this wine rack. And yes, I'm saving the best for last, so hold your horses. Meet me at the table saw. If it were up to me, I would be building these out of some hardwoods. However, that's just not in right now for these wine racks. That first one was super farmhouse style, and this one is similar but more of a rustic style, and I'm just forced to build what's in style. So I've got this piece of cedar that is a 1x12, and it measures 11 3/8 by 3/4 inches thick, and it is approximately 26 inches in length. I'm going to cut it down to 2 foot. So that's 24 inches, and I'll meet you back here. All right, so now that we got this cut down to 24 inches, I happen to have a X-Tool S1 laser. I'm gonna laser engrave with smart ass saying right here. So meet me at the laser. While the laser does this engraving, let's head outside and check on the wife. We both recently received a pair of high-C outdoor boots, and she absolutely loves them. These are perfect for outdoor jobs, and they're offering my audience a 15% discount site-wide. Check the link in the description below and type in the promo code Woodworks for your discount today. So now that we've got that lasered in, we're going to cut the actual pieces that hold the wine bottle. Now your typical wine bottle is 12 inches in height by 3 inches in diameter. So I've got a piece of cedar here, and it's 13 inches, and I'm going to cut it down to 12.5. And then we'll cut a second piece to nail onto this side at 4 inches. So meet me at the miter saw. All right, with both of those pieces cut, we're just going to add a dab of glue. And we're going to pop a Brad in his ass. Now I'm going to pull up 7 inches and just make a light mark. And we'll square that over just a little bit. And I'm going to bring my bottom right here to that 7-inch mark and bring my top flush to the outside here and let my right side overhang. We'll add a dab of glue. We'll lift our piece up, hold it as steady as possible, and pop a Brad in his ass. And we'll give that glue a few minutes to dry up. So we'll set this to the side. Now while that dries up, we're going to go ahead and make this piece at the bottom that holds the wine glasses. We'll take and cut a 1x4 to 11 1/4. Now we want this wine rack to hold 3 wine glasses. So I'm going to pull over at 2 inches from either side. And I'll mark the center at 5 5/8. Now let's head to the drill press and get these drilled out. I'll scribe a line at a 1/2 inch, and we're going to drill a hole right at that mark at the 3 marks we made. We'll be using a 3/4 inch Forster bit to get these holes drilled out. Now we'll head to the bandsaw and cut slots for each hole. I'll take and square over about an 1/8 inch from either side of center on each hole. The last cut for this piece is going to be a 12-degree bevel on the back side of this, so it sits at a slight angle. We'll add some glue and pop a couple brads in this thing. I'm pulling up 3 inches from both sides, and that's where I'll nail this piece. The bevel we added just helps keep the glasses still from falling out. Now I'll rip this 1x4 at 1.5 inches and then resaw it directly in half at the bandsaw. So I'll take one piece and just hold it up on my bottom here and just make a scribe mark. And then I'll hold this next piece and butt it into that and make a scribe mark at the very top here. And I'll get these cut at the miter box and nail these on. So we'll add a dab of glue. Pop a brad in his ass. And this bad boy is finished up. Now that first one that we built was something that you just set on your kitchen counter or somewhere on your bar top. But this one is obviously a hanging wine rack. You can hang this however you would like. I'm just going to add a key slot here and a key slot here, and then find a stud, put your hardware on the stud, and just put it right over your key slots. I absolutely love this design. It's simple, it's rustic, and I love my smart ass comment. You want some cheese with that wine? Now, for our next project, we're going to be making another wine rack, but this one is by far my favorite, and that's this wine rack. It's another hanging wine rack, but the design of it is modern, rustic, and farmhouse contemporary all in one. That's hard to do. So let's give it a shot and meet me at the table saw. Now we're going to be using this 1x4 piece of cedar, and we're going to cut 5 of them at 11 inches over at the miter box. Now once you get those cut, bring those over to your bench. We're going to pull up from the bottom 3 inches, and we'll continue that process each time we stack a piece. And you'll wind up with something that looks like this. So we pulled up 3 inches, made a mark from here at the bottom of this piece, pulled up 3 inches and made a mark, and so on and so forth. Now what you want to do is go ahead and get all of these fastened together. And we're going to do that with some 1.5 inch brad nails and some glue. So we'll add a dab of glue. And we'll put it right on our 3 inch mark we made, set ahead, and nail this together. Once we get this first piece nailed, we'll set that to the side. And we'll go ahead and get our next one glued up. And then we'll go ahead with this next one as well. Now we'll bring our first one back over. Line it up with the 3 inch mark there. And pop a brad in his ass. After that, we'll cut one more piece to 8 3/4. This piece will be nailed at the very bottom. Okay, our next step, I've got this piece of mahogany that is 2 inches in width. It's a 1/4 inch thick, and I got 32 inches of it. What we're gonna do is rip it directly in half, and then we'll use this piece for our backer, and I'll demonstrate. Now we'll head to the miter box and cut a 45° on one side. Now flip your piece over, line up your 45 down here with this piece here at the top. Make sure it's lined up flush. May have to make some minor adjustments. And just make a mark here and then here. Take your square and those marks you made and just square up at a 45 on both of those marks that you made. And we'll cut this at the miter box. And your piece should look something like this. So we'll add some glue. Pop a Brad in his ass. And we'll come up top and do the same thing. Add some glue. And pop a Brad in it. Now bring your other piece over. And we'll do the same thing. Make a mark where it meets the top on both sides. Add some glue. And pop a Brad in it. Now that's your backer. Now we're going to take and cut a 45° bevel on one end of this 1x4. We'll bring it over to our piece, and you want it to be flush with the top here. Make a mark where it meets on this side, right here at this piece. And that'll be where you make your next long point on your 45° bevel. We'll add a dab of glue. Stand this piece up. And pop a Brad in his ass. Now, we just need to add our front pieces that will hold the wine bottles in place from falling. For this piece, I'm going to use this 1 by 1/4 inch piece of cypress. And we'll do the same method, except we're going to butt it square at the top here. And then we'll make a mark at the very bottom and cut that angle, which is a 45. And we'll pop a Brad in his ass. And we'll just add one more piece on this side over here. Doing the same method. We'll line up our 45° miter we got right here. Make a tick mark at the very top where it's flush to the top piece. And cut this at the miter box. We'll bring it over. Make sure it's flushed at both the top and the bottom. And pop a Brad in his ass. How easy was that? And you got a badass wine rack. Now to mount this to the wall, I would just simply add a couple of key slots to the backers, or you can just do a straight screw into a stud. Either way, that's up to you. Wow, rock stars, whether you like the wine holder here, the one that has the smart-ass comment on it, which is probably my second favorite, or the other one, which is definitely my favorite. I like this one just because it looks more modern and sleek, and you can add your wine glasses on the top of it right here, so you can hold 4 wine bottles on this piece. These things are going over $100 on the online platforms, and I'm not kidding you. Check this out. That's crazy. As far as these other ones, they range from 45 upwards of 100 as well. And this one, same deal. Anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks is what I saw for this one. So I know we stuck to one topic today, which was the wine racks, but right now, guys, they are super hot and flying out of stores. I contacted a couple of shop owners that I know and asked them what was their hottest items right now, and they all said wine racks and home decor. So I hope these 3 projects can draw some inspiration out of you. And until next time, get in your shop and make some sawdust. Skull.